Riko was a cheerful 5-year-old boy who liked to play pranks on his demon friends, until one day, in school, they treated him like trash, just because of his beloved grandfather, the previous Supreme Commander. After that day, Riko was left alone and depressed. Little did he know that soon he would awaken his true power and become the supreme leader of 10,000 demons. Riko is a 5-year-old pathetic and useless boy who is the third heir of a yokai clan named Nura clan. But one day, he saw a young girl with black hair stab his father with a worn-out blunt sword. The girl then looked back at Riko and smiled the most sinister smile. Before being murdered, Rihen looked at the Yamabuki rose, which does not bear any fruit but blooms. 3 years later, Riko was the young master of the Nura house. He was a cheerful boy who liked to prank his attendants. The pranks were on par with those of the Supreme Commander, Riku's grandfather. The main ones include Aotabo and Kyotabo, the assault officers of the Nura house. The small girl, Oikawa, accompanied Riko to school in a human disguise. One day, he asked his grandfather, Nurarihin, if he could have his title as the third now. His grandfather asked him to wait until he became more yokai-like. Riko promised to become a great yokai leader like him. In school, Riko praised his grandfather and said that he was the supreme commander of the yokai. But he had no idea that his grandfather had a reputation for entering people's homes and eating whatever he wanted, causing trouble for them. The children dismissed yokai as a fairy tale created by people a long time ago. Later, his grandfather took him to a yokai council meeting. There were a lot of yokai and Riko got excited to see such powerful members. The reason for the meeting was to name the third heir of the Nura clan and the supreme commander. Lord Gagos put forward his name as the potential candidate because there was no other that surpassed his villainous. All the missing children of the year were his doing. He was in charge of sending them to the depths. Riko heard of such evil actions for the first time and they disturbed him. The council started to praise Gagos for his efforts and declared him the yokai virtue. Even his grandfather was proud of him, which was unbelievable for Riko. But Gagos was not the right fit for the job. Riko's grandfather put Riko in the role of the third heir. The yokai started to argue. Although Riko had his blood, he was still a child. Gagos was furious knowing that the incarnation of evil was not chosen, but a small child was, but he controlled his anger. Riko was quiet, so his grandfather asked what was the matter when he should be happy. He wanted this, and his grandfather wanted it too. The 72 groups of the Nura clan made up 10,000 of yokai, and they would be Riko's to command. But Riko had no idea that yokai were so evil, and knowing this, he did not want the position. He told his grandfather he would be hated more at school, and that he was nothing like him. He ran away from the council meeting. One evening, as Riko was late, Karasu Tengu came looking for him and brought him back to the mansion. He was one of Nuradahin's advisors and a loyal follower of the Nura clan. On their way, Riko asked if he was a human. He had a human mother and grandmother, but a quarter of his blood was of the Supreme Commander. This disappointed him. Arriving at the mansion, he watched the news reporting that a landslide in Yukio town had buried a bus in a tunnel. It was an elementary school bus that also carried Riko's friends. There were no rescue efforts at the moment, so Riko took it upon himself. But helping humans was against yokai, and he was being stopped. This made him angry, and a white smoke started to surround him. His voice began to change and his hair became white and longer. This had never happened before, shocking the yokai. He knew no one was going to listen to him if he was a human, but he could lead them all if he became a demon. His blood was running hot, which was his yokai blood. He had inherited 1/4 of the Supreme Commander's blood, now he had the right to lead them. At the site, Gagos with his army was getting ready to kill the children. The children could see the yokai, and they were trembling with fear. As Gagos came closer to the bus, Riko came and attacked him with the sword. He started to bleed and couldn't believe he was being beaten by a child, despite being the most feared. Riko acknowledged his terrifying presence but would not allow the yokai to take pleasure in killing the weak. He declared that he would become the third heir and lead them all. He was to send the message to all the yokai in the world that he was now the Lord of Pandemonium. Gagos was against him, so Riko killed him in front of everyone. Dharma, a board member and of the Nura clan and one of Nurarihin's advisors, saw this event unfold and understood what it meant to be the Lord of the Night. It was someone who could evoke awe even among humans and wore the true mantle of fear. The children on the bus were scared yet considered Riko a hero. Riko's body collapsed, transforming into its human shape in an instant. 4 years later, they questioned the Supreme Commander. They asked how long he planned to act as the substitute. Nurahian believed no one could lead the 10,000 warrior demon of the 72nd Nura clan as the third heir than his grandson. But the council was not buying it. From what they knew, he had only shown his hidden demon form once in 4 years. But one of the board members, Juki, said that true fear was when a demon hid his whip, to say that Riko was the lord of the night. Once he grasped the whip, the day he would be enveloped in true fear arrived. One day, Zen came to visit Riko. Zen was a poisonous bird who specialized in making medicines and was a childhood friend and a sworn brother of Riko. He had not kept in touch with the family for some time and came to see the third commander. Juki told him he had not yet ascended to the command. And whenever someone brings up the subject, Riko becomes sour. As Riko came home from school, he delightedly saw Zen. Zen apologized for not participating in the general meetings, but Riko dismissed them as an event for old demons. Zen said he should not talk like that as he was to become the master of all demons. Riko said that he could not inherit the position as he was a human. But this pissed Zen off and he started to apprehend Riko for being foolish. If he kept up with this act, the leaders would have no idea who would become the third commander. Riko still said that it would be strange for a human to take up the position. Zen had enough and became furious. He was not going to live for this kind of person. Due to overexertion, Zen became weak and started to cough. Riko later was mad at his grandfather for making Zen come all the way even though he was not supposed to move around. If he thought his grandfather was terrible for this, then he was not allowed to run the Nura family. A great snake, Hebideyu, took Zen away because of his declining health. The snake asked him to leave the Nura family because they were going to fall because of the foolish kid. Zen informed him that the Zeni group owed a debt to the Nura family. Because of their weak bodies, the only one who protected and accepted them as decent demons was Nurahian. The Nura family had under them many financial supporters, such as the Dharma Alliance and Zeni Group. Many demons from the sea and mountains gathered in Japan were the responsibility of Nura to be protected. Now Zen believed that he could see the third commander would be the demise of the family. Hebideyu wasted no time and informed him that his house would also be deleted. He had betrayed Zen, but Hebideyu felt betrayed first. If Zen rose to be a more dominant figure, then he could have a better position even as his vassal. But Zen was always putting the Nura family first. But Zen was not ready to die like that. He still had a mission to fulfill. But he was already weak and coughing way too much to do anything. Hebideyu transformed into a giant snake and attacked Zen, but he was blocked by Karasu Tenjin. Riko had come to save Zen in his demon form. He witnessed everything and told Hebideyu that even if he had 1,000th of Zen's righteousness, he would have spared his life. With one powerful strike, Hebideyu was cut in half by Riko. Zen, unfamiliar with Riko's demon form, asked who he was. Karasu told him it was Riko, leaving Zen shocked. Riko then informed them that he would succeed to the third commander. Karasu thought it was a waste because come morning he would be back in his human form and would forget it all. In the general meeting where Riko was also in attendance, Nurahian declared that the reason for the meeting was to strengthen the family. He announced Riko's candidacy as the third commander. It was all sudden because until now he had been taking things lightly. But now Riko was ready to take the position. He thanked them all for gathering for the general meeting on a lucky day, also known as Tenkichijitsu. He then apologized for being rude by addressing them from such a high position. But Riko accepted the role of the third commander. Hihai, a board member, informed Nurahian about an incident in the monster cat territory. Hihai thought it was another rogue group mimicking the Kuso group, so there was nothing to worry about and that he would take care of it. But the clan discovered Hihai and 9 other members dead in the forest. It was shocking because Hihai was known for his strength, but he was easily taken down. In school, Riko saw Karasu Tenjin in a hurry and distraught. He was later informed that his grandfather was missing, but it was usual for Nurahian to disappear. But the recent event with Hihai called for raised concern. Riko said he would look into this matter. As he ran home from school, he bumped into a student who seemed to be waiting for him. Somehow, he already knew Riko and told him that they were similar, young, and overflowing with talent. He told Riko that although he had everything from the start, now he was determined to take everything. He promised to gather more fear than Riko. Riko didn't understand what was happening. Meanwhile, Kana, Riko's human friend, was being harassed by a student named Inugami. He had a tongue like a dog. Before he could do anything further, the other student called him over. Suddenly, as they walked away, they were surrounded by the 7 pilgrims. They were the Shikoku's 88 demon god leaders, referring to the very famous 88 holy places in Shikoku. In the meeting in his mansion, they were discussing the chaos being ensued by a group. Riko knew it was the 7 pilgrims he saw the other day. Could they have killed Hahai and the others? They were not sure, but it was a possibility. The threat was that humans were still unaware of the existence of demons, but with the group on a rampage, that could soon change. They asked Riko about their next steps. The student along with the 7 pilgrims stood atop a building under construction and discussed their mode of plan. They had finally reached a point where their dreams could turn into reality. With Nurahian missing after the battle with Muchai, it was the perfect opportunity to strike down the Nura family. Rumors still flew about strong fighters in the family. The Tachigami were feared, so people believed in them. The Tachigami had become a foundation of support for the Nura family. The student who seemed to be their leader told them they could start by crushing the Tachigami. They were going to start by thrashing around in the Yukio town and draw the attention of their combatants. Inyuhu, who resembled a bird and whose fear type was fire, arrived in town to make the humans feel his wrath. He spat fire in a park, causing destruction and instilling fear among the humans. Yura, an onmyoji of the Keikane house who specialized in Shikigami, was able to subdue the fire and face Inyuhu head-on. But Sanbigarasu, the 3 crows from the Nura family, arrived in time, causing Inyuhu to flee. Later Kana informed Riko of the situation and told him that she believed in the demons and their existence. The student praised the 7 pilgrims for causing much destruction. They were told that the next stop was the enemy's main house, the Nura family's headquarters. This time Inugami was in charge of causing damage. In one of the rooms, a few of the board members were sitting discussing the plan. Hihai's son, Xiaowei, got mad at the leaders for doing nothing. He wanted to avenge his father, even if it was through willpower. With Riko not present at the moment, Hidetsune tried to hype him up as he expected nothing less from Hihai's son. Riko then entered and apologized to them for making them wait. Hidetsune told him that they had arrived early because it was an important matter for the family. Riko strictly told everyone that no one was to act on their own and charging ahead would not be forgiven. Whatever was to come, the Nura family was to face the enemy in unison. He even told Xiaowei not to seek revenge. Xiaowei tried to argue, but Riko insisted that this was a critical time and they should not be divided, as that was what the enemy wanted. Riko also desired revenge, but knew it must be taken at the right time. Hidetsune asked how will they move forward. Riko had a plan in mind. They were going to strengthen the territory's defenses. All the while, Inugami was listening to their meetings. To sabotage their plan, he attacked a group of weaker yokai near the pond and killed one of them. The chaos outside alerted Riko and the others. They rushed out to see what it was about while Inugami in his dog form was watching him in hatred from behind a tree. He rushed out and started to destroy the mansion from the inside out. He was so fast that no one was able to catch up with him. Riko followed him to the front of the mansion where Inugami met up with his team. The student introduced himself as Tanuki Tamezuki, the leader of the 88 Shikoku demon gods. His father was the head of the 800 Tanuki houses. Riko asked why he was doing this. Tamezuki wanted to gather more fear than Riko so he could rise above him. Before leaving, he ordered Inyuhu to burn down the mansion. The fire-breathing bird spat, causing the roof to catch on fire. Riko stopped anyone from pursuing them. Aotabu, even with his immense strength, was unable to calm down the flames. But Kappa, whose domain was the fear of water, was able to subdue the fire by using water from the pond. The next day, all the yokai helped to raise the defenses of the mansion. Inyuhu and Tamezuki were discussing the panic they caused at the mansion, and that they did not discover yet the actions of Sodmogi-sama. And once they do, it will be too late. Sasami briefed the council. She told them about the recent murder. It was of the Matanai Obake and 3 of their bodyguards from the Obake clan. The incident occurred in a short period when the guard was light. It also was when he was returning home from the main house. They ambushed him. The council gasped. It meant someone inside was helping the enemy. Riko calmed them by saying it was not guaranteed that was what happened. He left the matter to be solved by Karasu and ordered everyone to keep watch. But Yura detected a demonic aura in Yukio town. Suddenly, an old woman walked by her and she called out to her. The lady got offended at why she was called an old woman. This was enough for her to shed her blood. The woman used her hair to attack, but Yura quickly defended herself. Knowing she was an onmyoji, she wanted to flee without causing any ruckus. As she ran towards the end of the street, she disappeared around the corner. But Yura was able to track a demonic aura and came across the Nura house. She met up with her classmates who were training. Riko asked if she came to join the training camp. but she simply told him she was trying to destroy a demon when she came to his house. She believed that the demon was a Kajibari Onna. Riko quickly asked if she did something because he knew she was from Shikoku. She told him how she came face to face with her. Later, Karasu showed Riku shadow images of Kajibari Onna. They searched the demonic alleys under the young master's orders. They found a woman at Bake Nico's shop. After looking into her, it was revealed that she quite often met up with the Nura family's lead council members. Riku put 2 and 2 together. She knew the Shikoku group was moving from the information they gave her. Karasu was mad that someone was able to barge into their territory and make fools of their members. To deal with her properly, Riku transformed into his demonic self. They walked to the shop. Inside, Hidetsume was sharing important details of the council meetings, with the Kajibari Onna being drunk as Riku came to the front of the shop. He saw a long strand of a woman's hair. As it broke under his touch, the Kajibari Onna knew something entered her territory. She felt the aura of fear, and she began to tremble. She fled before they could catch her, so Riku ordered his officers to pursue her. Meanwhile, Hidetsume was brought back to the mansion. The leaders scolded him for sharing the family's important affairs with the woman. Riku knew there was no ill intent, but he should not have brazenly shared details. Hidetsume became furious. Everyone blamed him. They believed the family's problems came from their weakness. The leader couldn't unify them. Yura was walking when she felt the demonic aura again. The Kajibari Onna was back for revenge. Yura lured her to an abandoned place so there would be less damage to the town. Kajibari Onna asked why an Onmyaji was working with a demon ally. Yura denied it and said she would never do something so heinous. But enough with the small talk. The Kajibari Onna was going to show her the strength of one of the 7 pilgrims. Yura was also not going to back down as she was sworn to destroy all the evil spirits in the world. Karasu Tengu informed Riku that they had found the Kajibari Onna engaged in a battle. They all rushed to the site. Yura was using her Shikigami to counterattack her, but due to her injury, she felt weak. Taking this opportunity, Kajibari Onna wrapped her in her hair and tried to suffocate, but she was stopped by the Nura family. Riku's immense strength made her feel scared. She tried to stand up to him, but his mere shadow had a strong presence. It cut her hair, which was her weapon. Riku told her that he wouldn't kill her so she could relay the message to Tamezuki to not let a woman do his dirty work. Kajibari Onna went to Tamezuki and explained the whole situation. She told him that Riku was no ordinary person. This excited Tamezuki, as there was some benefit to coming to Yukio Town after all. Tamezuki was waiting for Riku to find out that he was in the palm of his hand. He asked the 7 pilgrims to keep lending their strength to him, to which they happily obliged. Back at the mansion, Karasu wondered, was Tamezuki's mission to destroy the Nura family? It was obvious that the members of the family were being attacked one by one. But as Riku pondered over this, it did not make sense. If they wanted to finish the family, then the Shikuko demons would come at them in big attack. If they were not doing that, it meant they had other objectives. The Paranormal Investigation Squad was at the mansion. They were examining the destroyed sites in town. They noted that all the sites had a shrine as the main target. Riku was surprised at the information and also noted that it had been happening in quick succession. Meanwhile, in the middle of the Shikuko Mountains, Nurarihian visited the place where the leader of the noble Shikuko demons lived. The shrine was home to the 108 gods of Shikuko and was called Yamaguchi Raisendu. Inugami Jalbu was the leader of 808 Tanuki, but now he was retired and Nurarihian came to meet him. The gatekeeper of the shrine asked Inugami Jalbu if he was acquainted with him, to which he said yes. Riku, on the other hand, was still stuck on finding Tamezuki's goal. He connected the dots. He recalled that when he rushed to the site of Kajibari Onna, a shrine had been destroyed. He knew their objective. He gathered everyone and told them to split up and protect the shrines that were not destroyed yet. The enemy was bound to do something flashy to divert their attention, but they had to remain vigilant. They aimed to destroy the Tachigami, to shake the Nura family at the foundation. This allowed them to turn the base of people's beliefs and fears towards the Shikoku demons. Like this, the leaders were sent to look after the shrines. Nurarihian discussed the topic of commanding the gods and how they both had gotten old. He brought up the topic of Hihai and his murder by a demon named Muchai. Inugami Jalbu paled because he knew whose doing it was. He explained that Tamezuki was his 88th wife's 8th son. He had gotten much of her divine power. Tamezuki was trying to gather fear to become the master of all demons. He was going to achieve this mission with 7 pilgrims. Inugami was especially dangerous. Inugami used the power of hatred and jealousy and was a truly fearsome demon. and now he could not stand near Riko. His hate towards him was palpable. Tamezuki told him that he wanted to leave him as a figurehead, not kill, but Inugami reminded him of the Shikoku demon's law. The weaklings die. Tamezuki smiled and told him to do as he pleased. Since it was Inugami, he did not need any guards or scouts. On his way to Riku, Kajibari Anna stopped him to ask if he would do anything for Tamezuki. He explained that it was Tamezuki who woke the power within him. It was the power of hatred. Back at the mansion, Riku was playing games with the squad when Inugami was surveying the place. He was just getting mad looking at Riku being friendly with the humans. He hated that Riku was liked by the humans. They received an email that contained potent information. The demons were haunting an abandoned school building. A film projector in the auditorium showed demons when activated. The whole squad got ready to investigate despite Riku stopping them. As Riku got a phone call, he was distracted and the squad left. On the call, Inugami told him that he wanted to kill him because he was hiding inside his mansion. He said it would only be fitting to kill his close friends. Knowing Riku would not allow his friends to die, it was the perfect opportunity to lure him. Riku knew it was a trap as that email was sent by Inugami. He ran as fast as he could to the abandoned school building, but fortunately, nobody was hurt. The boys were in the projector room, so he went there to see what it was about. As they activated it, Inugami's silhouette was on the projector. He told Riku that there was no need to save the demons as they were going to become dinner for the demons. He hated Riku for being accepted by both the humans and demons. Whereas humans would never accept demons, but Riku told him that was not the case. He tore the projector and emerged from it saying humans were the real evil as they treated him like a monster. He considered Riku to be inferior to him and did not accept him, and his hatred towards him made him blind. But successfully, the officers of the Nira family arrived at the scene. They incapacitated Inugami so he would not take any rash actions. Riku thanked his friends for saving him, which made Inugami furious. He thought guys like Riku were privileged and always protected by others. The hatred he felt transformed him into a ravenous dog. The backstory of Inugami was a painful one. He tried his best to fit in the human society, but it was excruciatingly hard. They called him names and girls were scared of him. At that time, he had no idea there was a world full of demons, until one day he was found by Tamezuki. Tamezuki asked him to become one of his comrades, but before that, he wanted to see his worthiness. They tied him up like a feral animal to test his powers. Inugami thought he had no powers, to which Tamezuki replied they would have to kill him as per the Shikoku law. His will to live and to belong transformed him into his astonishing dog form, a power that swelled the more he hated people. Tamezuki was happy with him, so he allowed him to join his team. In the present, Inugami was like a ferocious dog, attacking only Riku. Before he could fatally attack him, Hibanashi, a friend of Riku, tied him with his strings. The more he moved, the tighter the strings would get. But he was blinded by pure hatred. He shouted that Tamezuki made him a real demon. He believed Tamezuki to be superior to Riku, who mixed with the humans. Riku tried to reason with him. He told him that he was being fooled by Tamezuki. Inugami knew that Tamezuki was a terrible tanuki with a fake calm, but he still provided him with a place to belong. Riku said demons and humans were not superior or inferior. This caused him to be frantic. He broke free of the strings. He then transformed into his true self, a giant dog. He started to attack the members one by one until Riku was left alone. No one was going to come and save him. As the sun began to set, it was time for the demon to emerge. Inugami hurled Riku hard to the ground, thinking he had killed him, but Riku had stabbed his paw. Riku called him a bad actor and told him to leave the stage. When Inugami attacked again, Riku swiftly cut his forehead and sighed. Inugami mistakenly believed that making himself larger would make him more dangerous. Unwilling to acknowledge Riku's great strength, Inugami fled. Riku chased him all the way to an old abandoned place, where their battle began. Riku cut him again. This led Inugami to attack to defend himself. This caused a small abrasion on Riku's eyebrow. With one final move, Riku tore down Inugami's dog form, transforming him back into a human. Before Riku could kill him, Tamezuki showed up. He told Inugami that he could not let him die yet as he was an important comrade. This was the first time Tamezuki saw Riku's demon form and was impressed. He reiterated the fact that he was going to steal all the fear and become the true leader. But that was for some other time. With that, he left with Inugami. Nurarihian came to know that Tamezuki had the legendary treasure. It was the Demon Lord's gavel. After realizing that, he changed. He did not see his comrades as friends, but as a tool to reach his goal. Now it was time for the 88 gods of Shikoku to stand at the center stage. Hashinokashi, the name of his katana, meant proof of the supreme ruler. With it, they would advance. Tamezuki was chosen by the katana to be the master of the 88 gods. Nurarihian and Inugamijabu discussed the plant called the Tamezusa. Nowadays it refers to the letter karasuri, a snake gourd. About 1,000 years ago, a stockkeeper raised an army to usurp the emperor's throne. They tragically lost and were sent to a land called Sanuki. The defeated stockkeeper heard a bush warbler. It made him remember the capital of Kyoto and cry. The bird thought it was pitiful, so it wrapped its beak in Tamezusa leaves. In doing so, it silenced its own voice. Inugamijabu named his son Tamezusa after this folklore, so he could live a life discerning the shrine. But he changed his name to mean aiming for an imperial throne and began to call himself Tamezuki. And now he was trying to be the master of all demons. In the morning, a crow messenger came to the mansion. It was in bad condition. It warned about a big army of Shikoku demons charging through Chichibutoshi. This caused everyone to panic. Nurarihian asked Inugamijabu if tanuki ever outnumbered humans. That is true. It happened about 300 years ago. It was an event that changed everything. The tanuki tried to take over a human castle. The tanuki demons were smarter. They had supernatural powers. This should have made the outcome obvious, but it did not. The entire demon army was decimated. It was because of a single katana that humans had, the demon lord's gavel. The Blight Magic's character Ko is like the word bewitch. When lots of venomous bugs are intermingled in a single pot, they start killing each other to survive. The last to survive is invested with the resentment and desires of the venomous bugs that died. That creature is the Blight creature. The demon lord's gavel that Tamezuki possessed, in the same manner, was the essence of Blight Magic. The resentment of those cut down is charged into power, which is why it was a terrifying katana. In the council, everyone was shocked to see the enemy get so close to them. This has never happened in the last 400 years. Zen said there was no choice but to follow the third commander and march against them first. But first, they needed to test the young master's intentions. They asked the whereabouts of Riko and found out that he was at the entrance of the mansion in his demon form. A long and terrifying night was about to start. Riko in his demon form along with the other members of the council marched towards the enemy, when face to face with the enemy horde. Tamezuki was excited to show them his true form. He transformed into a vicious demon with long white hair with a white mask. It was time for him to fulfill his cherished dream to take lives and fear. It was now time for the battle between the tumultuous hordes. Tamezuki asked his comrades to sacrifice their lives for him. He called them weaklings. They were ready. Riko walked alone in the ground battle without fear. Tamezuki thought it would end quickly because he was overconfident. But Riku's army followed their young master. They joined the battle. Riko, unnoticed by anyone, walked straight towards Tamezuki. He was shocked that his army was not killing him even though he was right there. In a matter of seconds, Riko was atop Tamezuki and brought his sword down. Tamezuki blocked it with his sword, which was still sheathed. He understood that he made his enemies completely unable to see him by erasing his presence. It was his fear type and Nurarihian's as well. Tamezuki was being pressured under Riku's sword. Watching him buckle like that, his army came to his rescue. But looking at his sword, they did not dare move closer. Suddenly Yosuzune, a night sparrow, caught Riko off guard. She was known to create perfect darkness in her opponents. Similarly, Riko in a moment was enveloped in pure darkness. Tamezuki ordered to kill him, but Riko could not see anything. He even cast a spell, a serene state of mind that burned all the nearby yakai to ashes. Tamezuki took this opportunity and stabbed Riko in his side. He told him to abandon the light and join forces with him in the darkness. This way he could become a complete existence. But Riko refused. The light shines brighter because there is darkness. This meant Tamezuki had to kill him. As he brought down his sword, Riku's friend, Oikawa, came to his rescue. Using her staff and powers, she froze his sword's blade. She volunteered to be his opponent. Tamezuki asked Yosuzune to show her true loyalty. She moved to envelop Oikawa in darkness as well, but she was unsuccessful. Oikawa was able to freeze one of her eyes so she could see. Yosuzune did not know about that, so she went to attack. Seizing the opportunity, Oikawa used her cursed snowstorm to drive Yosuzune away. She did it. The darkness was gone from them as well. Riko was back on his feet and attacking Tamezuki. It appeared that they were losing the battle. Tamezuki was prepared for this. He knew his army was weak and would not be a match for him. so he had a way for them to serve a purpose. He unsheathed another sword. This one was the Demon Lord's gavel. With it, he started to kill the weak members of the army. Everyone was startled and shocked to see him treat his subordinates that way. This caused the sword to transform. It was now covered with dead comrades' power and felt alive. Riku's comrades informed him about the sword. It can annihilate demons and let the user take over the world. It absorbed the superpowers of all demons it cut. Riku saw how the sword was growing with each kill. Unfortunately, Yura caught herself at a crossroads. With Tamezuki killing everything that was in his way, he captured Yura, but Riku was quick to help her. In the process, he smashed half of Tamezuki's mask, and his eyes were filled with arrogance. Tamezuki sought to surpass his dad because humans took over after the war 300 years ago. The demon army was led by Inugami. Tamezuki believed his dad was a failure, and he wanted to prove himself to the world. The katana that once cut his father's fangs was in his possession with ever-growing power. The demons were following him, and that was what real fear was to Tamezuki. His fear was greater than the Nura family's supreme commander's fear. Before Tamezuki could attack, Kubanashi intercepted the sword with his strings. Everyone gathered around Riku. Kana, who was on the side watching everything, was defenseless. This was the perfect opportunity for Inugami to attack her. He wanted to show that humans and demons could never coexist. But before he could harm her, Tamezuki slashed him. Inugami was in disbelief. However, Tamezuki needed his superpower. It was to ensure that the Demon Lord's gavel was complete. He ordered the sword to wake up so he could rule the world in fear. The sword was beating with intense power. It was fear-inducing, but Riku was calm. As Tamezuki ran to attack Riku, he dodged and flew towards the sky. The clash of swords continued high up in the sky. Now, everyone who could have intervened was gone. Riku said he had his comrades' support. But Tamezuki disagreed. He said the one on top does not need comrades. Tamezuki wanted to stand atop the corpses of all demons. Riku aimed to awaken Tamezuki's eyes, which were filled with arrogance. The dawn was almost breaking, and the Riku's comrades worried that he would lose his demon form. To overcome this problem, Riku's human and demon forms made a pact. They were two parts of one being. They decided to coexist from now on. Their purpose is to protect both humans and demons. Their souls were now intertwined. Tamezuki had Riku in a tight grip and thought he was finished. But with a smirk on his face, Riku reminded him of the moon in the middle of the day. This gave Riku a special power. His body became smoke. When Tamezuki attacked with his sword, it would just pass through, and Riku felt nothing. The Kyoyukusuitsu curse means the flower reflected by the moon in the water. With it, he cut Tamezuki's shadow in half. This released all the ghosts of the comrades who had been consumed by the sword. His horde was breaking away. Tamezuki did not have to surpass his father, but overcome himself. Now, Tamezuki was defenseless. Riku moved to attack and finish him off. But Nurarihian appeared and blocked the strike. Tamezuki was still out of control. He wanted to use the sword again. He wanted to stand on his father's corpse. He launched into the air where his father was being held by two crows. But Riku attacked him, causing the sword to fall from Tamezuki's hand. Riku told him that, like the others who followed him out of fear, he had betrayed them. At least he could carry the one demon who loved him dearly. Inugami jumped and landed near his son. He picked him up and arrested him, but with great love. Inugami bowed in front of Riku and Nurarihian, shocking everyone. He asked them to forgive his foolish son, promising to make him atone for his actions. Later, they all gathered at the mansion. Riku and his grandfather sat at the head. They were going to celebrate the start of the young master's wild horde. It was also the next great phase for the Nura family. Yura, blindfolded, was practicing her water shots, but she seemed just a little off. She still needed to improve. She was visited by Riku. He was worried as he had not seen her at school lately. When she asked if he was alone, he said that everyone else was looking for her. Suddenly, Yura's big brother stumbled upon them. From the looks of him, he was mad. He repeated the sole mission of Onmyoji to destroy yokai. Ryuji specialized in Shikigami. Without any warning, he attacked Riku with his water Shikigami. Yura pushed Riku to the side and asked what was the purpose of that. Ryuji asked who Riku was. She told him that he was her classmate and a close friend. He asked if she did not know that he was a yokai, something she did not want to believe. He proceeded to ask what they did when they ran into a yokai. He manifested a dog using the water around and commanded it to devour Riku. But Yura intervened by blocking the dog. Ryuji was shocked that his sister and Onmyoji would defend a yokai. She asked Riku to tell her that he was a human. to which he said yes. He saw the desperation in her eyes to save a friend and had to lie. She smiled and told her brother Riko was not the enemy. This pissed Ryuji off. Protecting a yakai was against the Kekkane laws. She chose Riko over her brother. Without wasting another moment, he attacked with the dog. Yura once again blocked the attack with her shikigami, but it drained her and she fell down. Her brother gave her an ultimatum. If she didn't want to die, she had to come back to him. Riko, in his demon form, was quick on his feet and rescued Yura from Ryujin. He could no longer hold back as he watched one harming one's own. He put down Yura at a safe spot and got ready to fight. Ryuji opened 2 vials. Smoke formed from them into deathly flowers. If touched, the flowers could melt anything. He also formed a water structure around Riko. It was called a triangle field. It devoured him instantly. This technique took years to master and Yura was shocked that Ryujin could perform it, but he was mistaken in thinking that Riko had died. Instead, Riko stood behind him with a sword. Before Ryujin could do anything, Riko slashed him with the sword. He fell to the ground. Suddenly, Mamoru, a partner of Ryuji, attacked Riko with a shikigami, a paper with a chant written on it. It blasted Riko and he was down. Yura feared he was going to be killed. She asked who the guy was. Ryujin got up and told her he was her childhood best friend, Mamoru. But now he was a completely changed person who showed no emotion. They were going to kill Riko, but when Ryujin saw the sword Riko was carrying, he was shocked. It was Nenakiramaru, an onmyoji sword that only cuts yakai. Why did he carry something like that? But he ordered Mamoru to hurry up and kill him. Mamoru rushed forward to cast Riko into the dark, but strings tied up his hand. It was Kubanashi. The whole place was filled with the army of yakai, the night parade of 100 demons. They were there to defend their young master. Ryuji knew this too, so he had to tread carefully. He asked Riko who he was. Riko said he was the young master of the great yakai Yakuza family of East Japan, Nurarihian's grandson. Mamoru's eyes were filled with hate and he lunged to attack Riko again. But Riko's personal guards stopped him and even Ryuji asked him to stop it. Besides, Ryuji was there to tell her some bad news. The mortal enemy of the Kekkane clan was on the move. They were led by the great yakai that united all Kyoto's yakai, Hagoromo Gitsune. They had broken the 8 Kekkai barriers that were maintained by the Kekkane. The head of the clan, Hidemoto Kekkane, had added Mamoru to the clan and ordered Yura back. Riko, who heard the name for the first time, was scared and felt immense pressure. Before leaving, Ryuji told Riko to take care of the Nenakiramaru, but Yura collapsed due to her injuries. She was brought back to the mansion where she was treated. When she regained consciousness, she ran outside knowing now that it was a yakai mansion. On top of a tree branch under the moonlight, she found Riko. She went up to him and asked to answer the question of whether he was a human or a demon. Depending on the answer, she would choose to kill him. Riko said he was a human during the day, but a yakai in the night. He did seem like 2 people, but they were 1. This convinced her, and she chose to believe him as a good person. She thanked him for all his help. Nurarihian asked Juki if what Ryujin said was true about Hagoromo Gitsune. He never imagined to hear her name again after 400 years. During the Keisho period, 400 years ago, many ambitious young yakai gathered in Kyoto. It had been a center since ancient times. They wanted to see who would reign supreme. Few Kyoto yakai saw the formidable army of Nura and knew they had to become stronger to defeat them. Princess Yo was known to be the healer. With just her hands, she could treat any sickness. Her father, who was a greedy man, was profiting off of it. She hated this because she wanted to help for free. An onmyoji named Kormitsu was there to protect her from evil yokai. He even gave her an exorcist sword that killed yakai so she could protect herself. The sword grew powerful with every kill. Young Nurarihian, who had been watching for quite some time, was in love with her beauty. He wanted her for himself. One night took her to his mansion. She did not want to go, but he promised to make it worthwhile for her. He carried her in front of the guards, but they were unable to see him. It was due to his fear manifesting to make him look invisible. That night, she enjoyed the time with the yakai at the mansion. She called them Ayakashi, another name for yakai. Nurarihian asked her if she wanted to marry him because his feelings for her had grown over time. Back at her house, in the morning, her father was visited by Kyoto demons. They paid him a hefty sum so they could take Princess Yo, but thinking he could still make some more profit if he kept her for a while, he refused. This angered them because he was being greedy, so they killed him and kidnapped her. Nurarihian came that night to take her away, but instead was met with dead guards. When asked, a barely breathing guard revealed that she had been taken hostage at Osaka Castle. Nurarihian immediately knew it was where Hagoromo Gitsune resided. All the princesses brought to the castle had some sort of magical powers. Hagoromo Gitsune was going to eat their livers. The source of her powers. She picked Princess Yo to be the first sacrifice, but she called out for Nurarihian. Suddenly, his footsteps were heard. He had infiltrated the castle without anyone noticing. He lunged to attack her, but it was blocked by several guards. Hagoromo Gitsune was unimpressed with the intruder. He introduced himself as the supreme commander of the Nura clan, Nurarihian. He was there to take his woman back. She was interested to see an Ayakashi had come to save a human. It was the first time in 100 years that a yakai had turned against her. It was a fun show for her. He lunged again to attack, but he was attacked by her tails. It caused serious injuries to him. But he was undeterred. He pushed forward again to be attacked. One of the tails impaled him. She was bored and asked him to do something more entertaining. She explained that each of her tails represented a time she had been re-imprisoned. The tails reacted to hot-headed Ayashi who came after her. They made him bleed and dance. Princess Yo tried to heal his injuries, but Hagoromo Gitsune stopped her. Princess did not understand why he was going to such depths for her. He confessed that whenever he is with her, his heart opens up. He brought peace to him, and he wanted to spend eternity with her. But he wanted to show her how cool he could be, so she fell in love with him as well. He changed himself quickly. Hagoromo Gitsune noticed that he was a different person now. This was where the darkness started. It was time for the battle between the Ayakashi. Nurarihian engulfed himself in pure darkness that Hagoromo Gitsune could not even see him. How were her tails to react when they did not know where he was? He quickly met her and slashed. This made her yakai energy escape through the wound. She was devastated, having spent years gathering it for her unborn child. She chased after the escaping energy. As Nurarihian pursued her, she used her tail to rip out his heart, consuming it to make up for the lost energy. She was going for the kill, but curse papers surrounded her. Hidemoto had used Shikigami Hagun. It held the power of the 12 ancestral gods. He used it to cleanse evil and defeat the demon. The 12 gods appeared and tied her using magic. Due to her losing her yokai energy, she was weak, which was why it was easier for them to control her. Hidemoto informed Nurarihian that the sword he used to cut her was crafted by him. He then used it one final time to slash her in half. Before dying, she cursed Nurarihian's bloodline for all eternity. Hagoromo Gitsune was gone, and Nurarihian became the Lord of Pandemonium. Princess Yo was trying to reach Nurarihian to heal his wounds. She was worried and decided to stay by his side for the rest of her life. He had overcome the Kyoto demons and had a beautiful wife beside him. She then became the mother of the Rihan, the second heir. Riko was having flashbacks of the time when a young lady killed his father. Keikane clan was worried because the army of Hagoromo Gitsune was on the move. Riko went up to his grandfather and asked if he could go to Kyoto. Nurarihian's demeanor changed, mad that Riko would want to go to his death. He suddenly vanished and then reappeared in front of Riko, who was taken aback. He then kicked Riko into the pool outside. He called him a fool who could not even dodge an old man's kick. He had a lot to learn, or he would be knocked by the underlings. Riko rose from the pool in his demon form and was visibly pissed. If he wanted to go to Kyoto, he was to draw his sword. Karasu Tengu, who was walking past, saw the tense situation between them. Nurarihian poked Riko with the back of the sword at the same speed as his kick. Riko did not have the time to register how his grandfather was so quick. The battle between Ayakashi was a competition for fear, and the first rule was if one got the jump on the opponent, then the victory was sealed. Riko wanted to prove himself. So, he swung his sword aimlessly at Nurarihian, who was easily dodging. It was time that the Ayakashi of yore moved on to the next level. Morphing into a shadow, he defeated Riko. It showed if Riko were to go to Kyoto, he would be helpless. Riko was determined to go to Kyoto and asked if he could go there if he learned the trick. It was because whenever he heard her name, Hagoromo Gitsune, he would get agitated. And he knew that she was behind his father's death. She was the one to stab him. Nurarihian wondered if he had been too careful with Riko in raising. He asked Karasu Tengu to call them up, them being the Osho Tono family. Upon arriving, Riko was asleep for 2 days. Once he woke up, he found himself in a large pot. The yakai of the village wondered if he would ever wake up. If he didn't wake up within an hour, he would be eaten. They all discussed the heir of the Nura clan and his transformation at night. They thought him weak. Their leader was called Oga Kappa. He explained to Riko about their hidden village called Tono located in the northeastern part of Japan. He was going to be an apprentice and master the art of fear. He initially rejected the idea as he only wanted to go to Kyoto, but he soon met up with the trainers, named Amizo, Awashima, Riera, Daihoku, and Itaku. Itaku told the rest that Riku did not know how to summon fear. It was shocking, both for being Nurarihin's grandson and for being a yokai. Riku told them that he knew how to summon fear and was asked to prove. Now facing Itaku, he remembered his grandfather's words. To make the heart calm and clear, a technique called Meikayo Shizu. He tried and was able to summon fear and vanish. They all were amazed to see he was successfully able to invoke fear. Itaku showed how to summon fear, but using his secret technique, he showed how to destroy the opponent's fear. He concentrated the fear in his sickles and used it to cut the surrounding trees. It also slightly injured Riku. It was destroying fear with fear. The history of yakai eventually gave rise to the anti-yakai fighting technique. In Tono village, it was called possession. It was the next level of Ayakashi. It was incredible that Riku asked Itaku to teach him. Meanwhile, a Kyoto yakai named Kitamaru and 2 others entered the Tono village. They were on a mission to ask Aga Kappa to join Hagoromo Gitsun's side. They said the seals around the capital were going to be destroyed in 2 weeks, so they needed soldiers. Aga Kappa refused to help as being the neutral party. The Kyoto yakai were going to come again. As they were leaving, they saw Riku near the river. Kitamaru instantly remembered his face, which haunted him. He tried to destroy Riku's fear, but he knew he was a powerful enemy. He asked if he was the son of the princess, but he did not feel he was 400 years old. He gathered he was the grandchild. He told Riku they were going to take over the capital and cut the life thread of the Nura family. Riku's decapitated head would be a gift to Hagoromo Gitsun, and his body would be sent to his grandfather with a declaration of war. Another yakai jumped to attack Riku, but Itaku came in time to cut his arm. Itaku warned them. They would be killed if they caused a scene in their village. Riku told him to stand down as they were his enemy. He used his technique called Kyokasuitsu. This way his fear becomes undetectable. The yakai attacked again with 1,000 ox power spin, but his hand passed through Riku's body like it was smoke. He attacked him several times, but he kept vanishing. They could sense him, but their attacks were useless, causing them to be intimidated. Riku's counterattack was so powerful that it cut through the village sphere. Nurarihin's yakai was the flower that was reflected in the mirror, the moon that floats upon the water. Riku told them this was the invocation, Kyokasuitsu, a yakai that personifies dreams and illusions. The fear was more dangerous than what Kitamaru had imagined, which was why he needed to cut through him. Before Riku could comprehend, he was atop him. But he was frozen in an ice fortress by Riera, which was inescapable. But if he wanted to be let go, he had to apologize first. But Kitamaru was able to easily break it. Knowing he did not have to make Tono the enemy, he left them. But he would remember they helped Nurarihin's grandson. Hagoromo Gitsun's advisor gave her instructions. They were on how to properly extract all the power from the human liver. He also informed her about the 5th seal that would be broken that day. There was a total of 8 seals at different locations that formed a spiral in the streets of the capital. Master Tenkai shaped the seal in this order. It was during the construction of the Edo Castle of yore. With this formation, the Edo shogunate secured 300 years of peace. Kyoto lasted 400 years with the power of Hidemoto, the 13th heir of the Keikane clan. Each 8 sites was encircled with a powerful seal and was to be broken in the order of the spiral. This way, Hagoromo Gitsun could wage war on the Onmyoji. After winning, she planned to build a castle at the site of the first seal. Riku, after witnessing the power of the Kyoto yakai, was motivated to train harder. Riku had an interesting and versatile fear, but he needed to practice holding his invocation while fighting. One day during the training, Awashima brought bad news to Riku. The Onmyoji were being annihilated. It was sooner that Kyoto would fall into Hagoromo Gitsun's hands. He needed to save his friend, Yura, from dying. So, he went to Aga Kappa to ask his permission to leave. His training was complete. He also revealed that he met Hagoromo Gitsun as a child when he saw his father being murdered. That was the point Nura clan grew weak. He needed to go to Kyoto to see her one last time. He was going to break the chain of fate. He asked if anyone would like to join him, but they all backed out except for the trainers. They reminded him that they never pledge their lives to anyone but only to those who sincerely ask of them. And Riku politely did. He needed all the fighting power he could get. Riku with the Tono members reached the mansion. His grandfather asked if he learned anything worthwhile. and jumped at Riko, which he was able to easily dodge by vanishing. Nurahian was impressed and permitted him to leave for Kyoto, but asked him to bring some sweets for him. When he would come back, he would be the third heir of the Nura clan. He also advised him to meet Hidemoto. For their departure, he had arranged the Nura clan's special strategic Yakai airbase, the one and only treasure ship. As the sun rose, everyone aboard thought they were going to transform into their human form, but they did not. It was due to a huge threat, the great tornadoes on each seal. Only one seal was left to be broken. While Hagoromo Gitsuns waited patiently, upon arriving in Kyoto, Riko and his team were perplexed by the Torii labyrinth. As they navigated through one of the gates, a stranger who recognized Riko emerged. Riko identified him as an Onmyoji, accompanied by Ryuji and Mamoru. Mamoru was curious about the stranger's intentions. Suddenly, he fired a shot. It was aimed not at Riko, but at the Yakai lurking behind him. In response, Ryuji began chanting to cleanse the Ayakashi from Kyoto. His spell successfully vanquished Hagoromo Gitsun's minion, causing the tornado to dissipate. With this action, Ryuji effectively restored the seal. Without all 8 seals in place, Kyoto would never be in peace. The stranger introduced himself as Hidemoto. Riko asked Hidemoto how he was supposed to break the chain of fate. Nato is a Yakai with Riko. He remembered Hidemoto as the Onmyoji prodigy from 400 years ago. Hidemoto fought alongside Yakai against Hagoromo Gitsun. The invincible spiral seal barrier was created by him as well. To get inside, the seals have to be broken one by one. Hidemoto explained powerful Ayakashi were locked in 8 locations. They were turned into a seal pillar. The Keikane clan was guarding each location. To break the chain of fate, Riko was to join the Keikane clan and put each seal back in its place. It should have been Hidemoto who could do it, but he was dead. Hagoromo Gitsun was now going to enter the Nija castle, the last location. She was rumored to have given birth to a child who embodied pure evil. Before that, they were to reseal the pillars and stop the Yakai aura. They were to use Hagun and Nenekiramaru to kill Hagoromo Gitsun. A powerful Yakai was heard approaching, killing dozens of smaller Yakai in his path. This formidable Yakai, named Tsuchai Gumo, had 4 hands and lightning speed. He quickly reached Riko, announcing he was there to fight strong opponents. Pointing at a few individuals, he challenged anyone brave enough to face him. Riko told his members to step back, declaring that he would fight Tsuchai Gumo himself. Riko used the secret art, Kyokasuaitsu. He mastered it in Tono. It evades detection. But the second attack from Tsuchai Gumo was able to tear Riku's fear. One kick and Riko was sent flying. His fear had no effect. The others rushed to his rescue, but Tsuchai Gumo's attention was only on Riko. His fists smashed into Riko, causing great injuries. Everyone thought Riko was done for. Yura thought of interfering, but Hidemoto stopped her. He explained to her that he was a foe so great that he could not beat him. Instead, he sealed him. After all the Yakai were gone centuries ago, he was among the few who ran amok. Hidemoto was able to trick him and put him to sleep. But he knew Tsuchai Gumo did not expect to be sealed away for 400 years. Now it seemed like he was going to destroy everything in sight. After a long beating, it was thought Riko was dead. Tsuchai Gumo waited for the next opponent. It was Oikawa. She was furious at what Tsuchai Gumo had done to Riko and was ready for revenge. Tsuchai Gumo attacked her with his massive fist. She tried to counter with her chilling wind, but she was no match for him. The force of his fist sent her flying. Riko rushed to her rescue, preventing her from falling fatally. She was happy to see him alive before fainting. Riko was so mad that he could only see red. How dare his subordinates get injured on his watch? If the enemy wanted to destroy the night parade of 100 demons, they had to do it over Riku's dead body. Tsuchai Gumo was impressed to see Riko alive, despite his evident fear. He lunged to attack while his injured subordinates watched in awe. But Riku's Yakai aura had completely gone. It meant he was in his human form. With sheer will, he was going to attack. Everyone tried to stop him. Tsuchai Gumo was a type of Yakai who feared nothing. He could destroy the night parade alone. But Riko was able to cut through his finger. It was unbelievable. The technique used was Nenekiramaru. Now it looked like Tsuchai Gumo's attacks were ineffective. Riko was attacking relentlessly, but if he lost, his subordinates could not use their power. It was because Tsuchai Gumo's fear was destruction, the night parade of the 100 demons. Tsuchai Gumo grew bored. He was leaving to find better prey after quickly fixing his finger. Riko was not going to give up and lose in a place like this. He was a commander after all. Tsuchigumo was puzzled about why he couldn't defeat Riko. However, Riko was in his human form and unable to continue fighting, so he fell unconscious. Everyone was relieved at least he stayed alive. Hagoromo Gitsune approached Riko as a child, but she was mortified to see that his father had consorted with a human. His blood was unreadable. She told him the curse of Fox would never go away and Nurohian's bloodline would fall without fail. She tried to stab young Riko, but his father stepped in and was stabbed instead. He ran away. Then he saw his mother crying and wondered what happened to her. The other moment he was fighting Tsuchigumo, but his sword was not inflicting any injury to him. It was a nightmare. He got up and found Juki next to him. He was brought here to train, but Riko wanted to fight Tsuchigumo. Before he could leave, Juki's fear enveloped him. It was so intense that Riko started to panic. Riko could dodge and cut through the opponent's fear, but that was the limit. Strength alone would not ensure victory. He needed to do two things for his sword to reach its best. He needed to become stronger than Nurohian and himself. Someone from behind said he would not understand like that actual combat was the only way. Juki ordered Riko to draw his sword. He must master the technique befitting the Lord of 100 Demons. Before Riko could question, he was attacked. Meanwhile, Hagoromo Gitsune broke the last seal. Riko was overwhelmed by the immense fear of Juki. He asked Riko to cut through his fear. The first thing he was to do was to strengthen his fear. Juki told him, "The parade's strength depends on its supreme commander's strength. To build an invincible night parade, he needed to be very strong. That is when the power would return to him. That was why he had to surpass his grandfather and himself. But there was an issue. He was 3/4 human. Juki's training involved him to accept his identity as a human as well. The Nura clan's strongest era was when his father was the ruler who was a half-human too. He needed to let go of the notion that humans are weak and accept who he was. Becoming strong was the second thing he needed to do. Suddenly, he was attacked by the same person who told Juki to fight him. Riko tried his best to overcome the two formidable yokai. But facing two opponents was too much, and he collapsed. The other man was going to finish him because he was too weak, but Juki stopped him. It was not part of the deal they had made. He listened, but it was not over. When Riko woke up, Zen was by his side. He healed Riku's wounds using ointments he made. Zen told the reason he was there, to heal his body during the grueling training. Riko apologized for being weak, earning him a smack from Zen. He was the supreme commander and he could do anything he wanted. He also mentioned that Juki would be back for training as soon as the sun came up. Riko wondered what the two techniques were. Zen told him a story about his family, how they followed the Nura family to battles and spread their poison wings for them. He then showed his beautiful yet venomous wings to Riko, who was in awe. This was his fear, and he wanted to use them to fight for Riko. Riko was grateful for Zen and his empowering words which urged him to do better. Once the sun was up, Juki waited for Riko to return from the forest. Although Juki was skeptical, and with the option to run away, Riko, determined as ever, showed up. That night, he ate well after tough training. The only thing on his mind was the sword that could touch Tsuchigumo. The training only took place in the morning when Riko was in his human form. But suddenly, the cabin was filled with lesser yokai. Initially, they thought it was early training, but they were wrong. The yokai were there to kill Riko. They attacked him, but he cut through fear easily, defeating most of them. Riko asked Zen to run away, but Zen wanted to stand alongside him and fight. After a heated debate, Riko agreed for him to stay. Juki, who was on his way to the cabin, was thinking about Riko. He knew Riko had grasped Nurohian's essence in Tono. That's why he defended himself from a fatal injury in the fight with Tsuchigumo, but he had yet to discover his true self. He had forgotten the adaptability of humans. Juki was once a human too. He understood the need for Riko to hide what he thought was a weakness, but he knew the second error, how his people trusted and he depended on them. He had acknowledged his human side, which made him stronger. Juki wanted Riko to master a technique. It let fear grow by adding more fear. Back at the cabin, Riko was tired because the yokai were too many and strong. Zen, eager to be of use to Riko, spread his poison wings. The power from the wings infused Riko's sword, making it vibrate with intense energy. With a single swing, Riko's sword caused the entire cabin to explode. Juki, who was nearby, was shocked to see Riko's fear. The enemy started to fall like flies. Riko asked Juki if this was the technique he was talking about. Zen, who was weak after using his power, remembered his father's words to spread his wings for the night parade of 100 demons. This was the power of the Nura clan. He unlocked something important. Trust others so he could gain their trust, in return obtain power. This was the hidden technique of the Lord of the Night parade of 100 demons called Equip. The Tono members were waiting for the next move. They were all severely wounded, but seeing Riko walking toward them gave them renewed strength. Oikawa was being held captive by Tsuchai Gumo so he could face Riko once again. To him, he was one of the few interesting guys. Riko entered the place with a bang. He disappeared and reappeared behind Oikawa to rescue her. He told Tsuchai Gumo that this time he was going to kill him. She was on the verge of tears because she wanted to be useful too. She would not step back, but rather protect him from the front. She did not want to see what happened to him last battle. He told her she did not have to protect him anymore, but he needed her desire, strength, heart, and body. She entrusted him with them all. He gained strength, which was multiplied, and he challenged Tsuchai Gumo. Riku's sword now had the power of ice, fear of Oikawa. With one swipe, Tsuchai Gumo's fingers were chopped. The ice started to spread all over his arm and destroyed it. This technique was called equipping red plum under the snow. Tsuchai Gumo knew that if did not get serious, he would get killed by the sword. So, he isolated Riko by enacting a barrier around him. He wanted Riko all to himself because, after hundreds of years, Riko was the only opponent who could match him in battle. But Zen and Oikawa jumped inside to help. Until he crushed Riko, he could not crush his night parade. Tsuchai Gumo mocked him, saying it was 3 out of 100. But he was wrong. 3 more joined him, Itaku, Amiso, and Awashima. The Tono would become his strength as well. Riko was glad they would lend their strength, but since he didn't know Awashima's fear, she couldn't lend hers yet. Itaku attacked alone to give the others time to explain the Tono the hidden technique. Riko was amazed by his skills. He wanted his power and wanted to equip his fear. Itaku, who was not used to standing in someone's shadow, was not trusting Riko fully. But Riko showed him he had mastered the skill Itaku had shown him in Tono Village. Itaku agreed to become his blade. He could see Riko carry his fear. Tsuchai Gumo, now serious and no longer joking, began generating electricity with his body. He swatted his giant hand on Riko to crush him under his weight, but Riko jumped, and with Itaku's Aster Scythe, he slashed through his body. Tsuchai Gumo was cut in half, and his fear began to dissipate. Everyone was shocked. Meanwhile, Eichiro Mogitsune was in her castle preparing for the birth when she was interrupted by a noise. She asked her minion to check the source. But it was not necessary because the source walked straight to him. It was Nurarihian in his true form, the one she faced 400 years ago. She attacked him with her tail, but he was able to pin her down with the sword. Nurarihian asked if she had killed the second heir, and she just smirked. She told him darkness would rule the world again, and whoever she killed held little importance to her. Nurarihian told her that taking her in this old age was too much for him, so he entrusted his grandson to finish the job of killing her. But he was stabbed in the back by one of her loyal followers. Other demons started to appear, and there was no chance he would survive this. But Karasu Tengu appeared in time to fly Nurarihian away from death. On the other hand, Tsuchai Gumo told Riko he had not been brought to his knees since new. He was the mysterious Kyoto Yakai everyone was making a fuss about. He was an Ayakashi and a human who ruled over the darkness in Kyoto a millennium ago. He was also an Onmyoji. Tsuchai Gumo stitched his half-slit face and told them he would like to sleep until Nu was born, and he left. Riko had won, but it did not feel that way. Because above them a storm was brewing. Kidomaru told his demons to look around for Nurarihian, who could have gone far with the injury. He then informed Josie, the advisor of Hagoromo Gitsune, about her labor. But Kidomaru was informed of the river street occupied by the night parade of 100 demons. Riko, their supreme commander. Suddenly, the castle where Hagoromo Gitsune was residing collapsed under a giant mass. She sat atop it. She kept repeating she could feel Seimei, her son. The giant mass took the shape of a newborn baby. The son of pure evil was going to be born, and Josie was excited for it. Everything so far had gone smoothly. Long ago, alongside humans there was darkness, but the humans could not live beautifully anymore. They were tainted by their sordid true nature. The dark creatures were betrayed by them. So, she decided to fill the world with something pure black, without the speck of impurity. Black like her hair, eyes, and clothes. She asked her servants to protect him. He needed protection. This meant Nu could not fight yet. He needed to be complete because Nu was originally a human. It was their chance to kill him. Riko took his opportunity to fight Hagoromo Gitsune. As he came face to face with her, his worst nightmare came true. It was her. She had killed his father. She realized that it was Nururihian once again getting in her way. She questioned him, asking why those of his bloodline interfered with the creation of a world where Ayakashi would reign supreme. Riko asked if that was why she killed his father, but she was haunted by Rihan's face and didn't understand why. Riko, armed with thousands of blades, was at his strongest. Tsuchai Gumo told Hagoromo Gitsune to fight Riko, as their battle seemed destined. He offered to babysit Nu in the meantime. They clashed, and she could see why Kitamaru lost against him. But with one move, she destroyed his swords. The sword did not even touch her. Kuro appeared and told Riko to create an opportunity to get close to her and then release him as striking. Kuro would strike all her 9 tails, and using that opportunity Riko could thrust Nenikiramaru into her main body. But it would cost his life, which he was prepared to give in Riku's cause. Riko lunged to attack with his 1,000 swords, but she destroyed them again with her tails. Riko took this opportunity to gain in on her and stabbed her in the heart. Although it penetrated, it did not cause her any harm. Even Nururihian had tried the same trick. With the sword stuck, Riko could not escape her brutal sword attack. He was struck with the sword of 3 tails and wounded severely. She stabbed him again to take his liver for herself. But she had a flashback of Rihan and stabbing him. Riko made her miss by stopping the sword with his bare hands. She was impressed by his skills and his ability to slip through, but she intended to take his blood and liver. Riko asked when she turned into Hagoromo Gitsune, because he remembered her from his childhood, how she used to laugh with happiness. He was asking the human part of her the question. She had reincarnated many times into human bodies, so Riko knew there was a human part that might remember childhood even if Hagoromo Gitsune did not. Riko proceeded to tell her about the time he saw her amidst the falling petals. She had a flashback again, and it terrified her. It was confirmed it was her. She was getting mad. She had been reincarnated for thousands of years, so his words should be meaningless to her. She continued to attack Riko. She was stronger than he was, and she saw he was losing power quickly. She pierced him with the spear of 4 tails and pinned him with a pole. If he could not move, he could not use his fear. Watching him vulnerable, she remembered the face of a 5-year-old boy. The debris falling from the giant mass showcased her memories. She was frozen in fear, but she was shaken by the emergence of her child. It was too late. Nu was born, and everyone was shocked. Riko was not done talking to her, but she was just focused on her son. Their battle was just a grand show on the eve of her child's birth. Each time she was reincarnated at the thought of her child, but her wish was never fulfilled. 400 years ago, she was closer to her son, but Nururihian had ruined it for her. That memory made her furious, so she struck Riko again. Riko called to his dad, and a fragment of the memory came to life on the debris. Hagoromo Gitsune was again petrified. Yura seized the opportunity to use her Shikigami, Hagun, and blasted Hagoromo Gitsune. Just as Hidemoto had previously harnessed the power of the ancient gods, Yura did the same. The spells bound Hagoromo Gitsune, immobilizing her. Riko took advantage of the opening and slashed her body. As she saw Rihan, her father, in front of her eyes, she started crying. The body she had used was merely a vessel, and the true Hagoromo Gitsune emerged. Her head started to hurt because this body was supposed to be perfect. She questioned Jizo about what he did to resurrect her. It seemed like Jizo was behind everything and his wish had been granted. Seimei was the one pulling her strings all this time. Jizo was just there to execute it on his behalf. She was fading. Everyone watched the next move. Riko held her vessel, his sister's body in his arms. Seimei, who was also new, appeared as a man with long golden hair and pure golden eyes. She was overjoyed to see him and hold him in her arms. However, he betrayed her and threw her into hell through a portal. He thanked her for the 1,000 years so he could walk the path. She was his son. His light and darkness only could cast a shadow when the light was behind. Now he could proceed as the true lord of the night parade of 100 demons. He gazed upon the city, disgusted by its filth, and proceeded to purge it by destroying it completely. He was going to rebuild Kyoto. Riko was furious at his actions, first killing his mother and then toying with them. To him, a man who died 1,000 years ago did not have any business in the world. He put his sister down and got ready to kill him. His army tried to stop him because killing him alone was impossible. But Riko did not listen and ran with his sword towards him. Unfortunately, Nu stopped the Nenikiramaru's sword with just the tip of his finger. It was not enough to bring him down. Nu shattered the sword into tiny pieces. Nu knew he was Rihan's son, but to him, he was not strong enough. He brought his sword down to strike Riko, but his sister stepped in front. Nu said her pity grew out of false memories. He tried to strike again, but Nurarihian took Riko to safety. He asked others to buy him some time so he could check something out. The most powerful Onmyoji were resurrected and stood in front of Nu like a barrier. Riko asked Nurarihian if this girl was his sister. He denied, saying the scheme went deeper than he thought. He told him her name was Yamabuki Otomo, and she was the Ayakashi wife of Rihan back then. It was centuries ago when Yoheim was alive. Rihan one day brought her to the Nura mansion and told Nurarihian he was going to marry her. She was exceedingly beautiful and graceful, knowing that marrying the second heir would be challenging, yet she was happy to do so. That was when Rihan's glory days began and lasted a long time. But due to the curse of the fox, their clan could not propagate. As a result, Rihan and Riko were the children of a Hayashi and a human. The fox curse had not counted such a possibility. For 50 years Autumn could not produce an heir and kept blaming herself. One day she disappeared, leaving a Yamabuki rose behind and a poem that Rihan was reading before he was killed. The poem referred to her infertility, how the Yamabuki rose blooms but bears no fruit. She left the world to wither away, but heard a voice in the pitch-black world. It was a soul rebirth. She was in essence Yamabuki Autumn. Nu before his rebirth was in hell. In every era when the world was shrouded in darkness, there were numerous times when Hagoromo Gitsune could have given birth, but almost every time she was crushed by the Nura family. Nu could not be resurrected until Rihan was defeated. Sanmoto, Jizo's father, who had also been killed by Rihan, sought revenge. They devised a heinous plan. Through Jizo's illusionary fear, they would fabricate a girl, supposedly Rihan's daughter with Autumn. By using Nu's soul rebirth technique, they aimed to succeed. Sanmoto gave the girl false memories of being Rihan's daughter. This way she would become Higoromo Gitsune's vessel and kill Rihan as well. One stone, two birds. The girl told Riko and the others that right after she heard the voice, she realized she had become a young girl. False memories were embedded in her. She was easily able to convince 5-year-old Riko that she was his sister. Rihan, who was hesitant at first, took her hand and accepted her. For her, it was her happiest day. But as Riko was distracted by something behind a bush, Rihan saw the Yamabuki flowers. He began to recite his wife's poem when something in the little girl was triggered. She grabbed a blunt sword and stabbed Rihan. Right after she killed him, she saw what she had done and began to cry tears of blood. Jizo, who witnessed everything unfold, laughed as the woman, pretending to be a daughter she could never conceive, killed the one she loved, and then she became a vessel to the fox, to Higoromo Gitsune. But now it was time to put an end to all of this. Riko turned to Nu, who without any movement attacked him. He told him it was just the beginning of a world where humans and Ayakashi coalesce and the world of disorder would be destroyed. A world where darkness prevails over the light. Nurarihian asked if he had been a human once. Nu smiled, saying after 1,000 years he was finally resurrected in this form. He had outgrown the need for a human vessel and now stood at the apex of darkness. Nurarihian told him that his son and grandson, who were human and Ayakashi, were his pride and joy. But Nu promised to end the Nura bloodline. The army of Riko backed him up, but to Nu it was nothing. He glowed like a sun and cast a bright light, destroying everything in its path. Many of the weaker yakai died, but the stronger ones prevailed. Riko ordered his night parade to entrust their fear to him. Nurarihian passed another sword to Riko as his Nenekiramaru was destroyed. For thousands of years, Nu had hoped his mother would destroy the Nura clan, who always stood in their way. Now, it was up to him to finish the job. Riko rushed to attack, followed by his night parade. The sword he used was small, but his sheer will was enough to get close. But Nu's sun-like light acted like a barrier, and Riko fell back on the ground. With his sword that was red, he pointed it towards the ground, and it started to burn. It was so powerful that even Nurarihian could not get up. But Riko emerged from the tormenting fire like a true king. He asked again for everyone to equip him as he moved toward the source of the blazing fire. This was the mighty night parade of 100 demons. Like a storm, they closed in on Nu. Riko broke the barrier with all his force and attacked Nu. For the first few blows he dodged, but as their swords clashed, there was a huge blast. As the dust settled, it was revealed that Nu had disappeared. Taking in their victory, they all cheered. Later, Riko and Nurarihian found themselves under a beautiful tree, and Rihan was there too. Riko tried to sleep, but his father told him not to sleep as he would get a cold. He told Riko that he was now going to stand at the helm of the Nura clan and become the third heir, and left. After the whole Kyoto ordeal, the night parade was back at the Nura mansion. Nuradihin addressed the council and told them that after the consensus of the top executives of the clan, Riko would be the commander. Riko informed the council that, as the third heir, he would not tolerate the harming of humans or the breaking of the honor code. He urged them to be the kind of yakai that never loses fear. That was the kind of organization that he intended to lead. This was the third heir's night parade of 100 demons. Watch this next video. See you on the next one.